The woes of the world are no match for our ability to laugh at them. That which aims to bind has no power, has no clutch over any of us if we disregard it as a bumbling buffoon. Of course, this matrix is weird, is ugly. Of course, it feels and appears uncomfortable. So, now what? Here you are, watching this video. If you're watching this video, you probably know quite damn well that this world is not what we've been told it is. We are in a realm. We are incarnated souls in a realm inhabiting these avatars. And we're here accomplishing a great work. The earthly experience allows us to flesh out the aspects of ourselves that do not serve sovereignty and expansion. So as we walk through this experience, we can't help but notice the inconsistencies all around us. I mean, nothing is as it seems. There always seems to be a catch. That which is advertised as this usually is actually that. And if we pay attention to the various information streams here, whether we deem them alternative or mainstream, it's apparent that there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of extrapolation and picking apart of details, and little clarity. Like no clarity, actually. And there is no clarity, period, in any of these streams of information. Because it is not through streams of cold data, so to speak, that infuses us with the breath of divine consciousness. In order to find that which we seek, we must acknowledge that there is a point where the seeking ends or transforms. We seek in order to find. We go on an escapade of figuring something out in order to arrive at an aha moment. But many of us can become addicted to the seeking and even forget that the seeking should lead to finding. And there is clarity to be had, to be found amidst this soup of weirdness. It's not the soup of weirdness's job to inform you on how to be, how to act, and what to think. There are so many people who feel some sort of allegiance to a groupthink, even like an alternative groupthink. An example could be flat earthers. If only people would realize the earth was flat, then humanity could evolve or wake up. But let me ask you, if everybody mentally accepted that the earth was flat, then what? One could say, well, that would provide the catalyst for, more realization. But what I'm trying to say is, just by acknowledging a fact or a so-called truth with our mind, just by doing that alone does not ensure that we're going to feel any sort of increased clarity or alignment with self and with the cosmos. Because it is not through mental acceptances that ascension occurs. And this is something all of us should remind ourselves of, especially if we find ourselves sinking into rabbit holes when deep down we know that we're already whole. We're already whole, so we don't have to jump into a hole and deem it to hold any keys. If we find any piece of information inspirational or even fun or engaging, let's knock ourselves silly. I'm not giving this message to encourage more restriction, but all the while we're falling into rabbit holes, there is a limitation happening. It's a limitation of the self, because the self does not truly care about anything else other than its own expression. And the true self can only express if it is unburdened. And doo-doo, poo-poo is what most of this information is. When we're in formation, we're trying to formulate something. But if you're always trying to formulate something, then there is nothing concrete, nothing eternal, perhaps, to continue. So instead of being in formation, we can engage in the eternal discovery. Oh yes, here we are right now. It is happening, and it is the moment. And I can observe much without having to pull away from what's happening. And it doesn't have to be this stressful thing where I'm like, don't think of the future or the past. The moment does as it shall. We limit ourselves in order to expand ourselves. Isn't that why we're here? By feeling the limitation, the restriction, the cornering. We are, in a sense, forced to cast forth that which isn't restrictive, that which isn't limiting. We have tasted that which we do not wish to continue. Okay. Because of this, we can grow now. That which we do wish to continue. And what always continues is true love. There is much change here. In fact, change is happening quicker and quicker. There's this idea called time wave zero. It's the idea that as this thing we call time progresses, events unfold on the Earth stage in a quicker, more dynamic fashion. So more and more, that which culture erupts or materializes ends up decaying. That which is prominent one week or one day in the Matrix is toast the next. That which is temporary is false. So that which comes and goes, has a beginning and an end, is an illusion. Our suffering always has a beginning and an end. Always. No matter how we suffer or what we suffer for. Our suffering never eternally stays with us. This is how we know that our suffering is, at the end of the day, not real. I'm not saying it's not experienced, and I'm not saying we need to gaslight ourselves out of feeling our suffering. Feel it, baby. Feel it 100%. But ultimately, it's false because it doesn't stay. Okay, so none of this tomfoolery in this matrix ever remains. Everything is consistently churning and unfolding and changing, meaning we have nothing to worry about. If what we see here is so fleeting, that means we're really just souls experimenting with the temporary in order to revivify the eternal. Almost everything here on earth has an element of deception to it. This should be a rule in this life, if we are to see clearly. The rule being that everything on earth has an element of deception to it. There will not ever be full, transparent, no strings attached truth to be found in any narrative or in any ideology or belief system here. The only truth that is verifiable is the unnameable truth that you hold and carry. Same with me. A rabbit hole is a phrase we give to a series of actions or thoughts or even emotions that leads to a never-ending quest. And rabbit holes are everywhere. There are so many streams of information to get caught up in. But all of us can verify that nothing ever occurs in the way that we are told it will occur. There is always something right around the corner, isn't there? Something is about to happen. If something is always waiting for you around the corner, then what does that say about you? Well, it means that which should be yours isn't felt right here, right now. If what we need to fulfill us is right around the corner, right over there, then the corner will keep shifting. Once you turn the corner, there's another corner and another corner. So rabbit holes are obviously fruitless pursuits. Belief systems are fruitless pursuits. Engaging in any idea of a future event of might, that's a falsity. It is false to think that we just need to wait for what? What are you waiting for? How many times have you had an expectation fall short of itself? Many times. Me too. We've all had expectations that were not met or fulfilled. And when we feel this disillusionment, it's due to disillusionment, an illusion that sustained itself is able to strip itself away from our psyche when our expectations don't materialize. Many of us have said we just want to ascend today or tomorrow. We just want to exit the cycle of birth and death right now. That sounds lovely, doesn't it? Doesn't it? But the only way to experience the exit from anything is to enter a territory that is distant from that which we wish to exit. Meaning, the best thing we can do for ourselves is to conduct ourselves in a way that reflects our best attributes, our most sacred attributes. If we act as we wish to see the rest of the world be, then we're doing it as far as I'm concerned. Then we've won. Self-empowerment is where the true power is. But in this matrix, we have been duped to think any worthy accomplishment has to do with conquering something outside of oneself. The ideas of taking the world by the balls or fulfilling the American dream for Americans. These kind of societal mantras never have anything to do with true self-empowerment and healing. To conquer the world is not to conquer oneself, it's to conquer a business or a woman or a man, or make this amount of money, or have this social status, etc., etc. We don't need to conquer the world. In fact, does this look like a world we wish to conquer? Let's say we did conquer this world. Would that feel grand to have all of this 3D weirdness subservient to us? I don't think so. How do we conquer ourselves? By not avoiding what needs to be seen. To conquer oneself is to accomplish the hero's journey. And concretely, I'm talking about quite basic actions and interactions we have with ourselves and with the world. You know, putting into our body what is healing. Only putting into our body what is healing. Using the tongue as the caster of all that we wish to materialize. By being focused with our tongue, we can actually help focus the mind. What do I mean when I say, let's conquer ourselves? I mean, let us not make excuses for any behavior that does not serve aliveness. I'm not talking rocket science here. I'm not speaking algebraic equations. All I'm saying is look in the mirror. Leave the fruitless rabbit holes and know thyself. There is this pervading idea in this land that just around the corner lies an event or an energy with the very potency that you deserve or that you desire. If what we require is always around the corner, that means there's nothing of value right here, right now. So if we want to lie to ourselves and say, the only reason I exist right here is to exist over there eventually, then we don't value ourselves. All we need to do to exist in a state of relative ease and wisdom is to cut the cords to any stream of information or emotion that does not completely serve the heart, aliveness. A sense of futility arises when that which we think exists right around the corner turns up to not be found. When our expectations are shattered, it doesn't feel great. But it doesn't feel great because disillusionment is painful. It's painful to open one's eyes and realize I've been existing in some sort of state that does not see with open eyes. But we can never keep our eyes open if we are enticed by the rabbit holes all around us. Basically, mental stimulation, mental masturbation. That's what most of us, if not all of us, are aiming to achieve when we're engaging with any sort of rabbit hole. When I say rabbit hole, again, I mean a stream of data that keeps unfolding, leading to more questions, leading to less answers and less clarity, usually in the name of complexity. There are so many streams of information here that will tell you that you need to know this specific fact, this specific tidbit of information. And once you gather together these complexities, then you may be granted the ability to find some semblance of wisdom, of gnosis. But until then, keep traversing the rabbit hole. I say we are free. And I say this without any ifs or buts.